Chris, and in today's video we're going to talk about how to set up a title sheet. A title sheet is basically the first page that gets added onto a drawing set that is filed at the New York City Department of Buildings. So some of these plans include HVAC work, which is just the mechanical plans, plumbing plans, sprinkler plans, standpipe plans, as some examples. If the drawing set is not filed at the New York City Department of Buildings, the title sheet would actually not be required. And some of those drawing sets that wouldn't require this are the ones that actually don't get filed at the New York City Department of Buildings. And those include fire alarm drawings, which get filed at FDNY, and electrical drawings, since those plans are actually not filed at the Department of Buildings. To get a permit on the electrical work, the electrician, all they need to do is submit forms without drawings to get the permit for that work. So on electrical plans, the title sheet is not required, although it can be added. So let's look at the structure of a title sheet, and I'll go through the different components of it and explain to you guys how to obtain and modify those sections of the title sheet. This is the title page, and this is basically the general layout of how the title page should look like. And I'm going to start by explaining from the top what the different components of this title sheet is, and later on explain how to modify those areas. So starting from the top left, these two maps here are the firm maps. They represent the flood insurance rate map. And the one on the left is from the year 2007, and the one on the right is from a later date, 2013. And as you can tell, the flood zone, which is here indicated in blue, is actually increasing and moving more inland in the more recent year. Now if you zoom in on the flood map, the area of work is indicated with a green hatch and also labeled as area of work, and that's done on both maps. Now on the right of that is a plot plan, which also has an indication in green of where the area of work is. Also, a north arrow is next to that plot plan, and this is a requirement from the plan examiners at New York City Department of Buildings, so this will need to be added. Right below that we have some specific information for the building that the job is for, and this information includes the block, the zone, the bin, lot, map number, as well as some other information here. And later on in the video I will be explaining how to obtain the information to fill out these fields. Right below that you see we have some general notes here, which is kind of indicated here. They include the demolition notes, tenant protection plan and safety notes, as well as the general construction notes. These notes are just very basic, and it goes on every title sheet and does not need to be modified. Right below that we see there is a table here that is used to calculate the market value of the structure. And again, I'll be explaining how to get this the information to fill out these fields later in the video. But generally this table, as well as the note next to it, is only used if the job is in a special flood hazard zone based on the firm map, and if the cost of construction is actually more than 50% of the value of the structure. Then in that case we will have to apply certain codes to make that building a little bit more resilient to the 1% annual flood, which basically generally occurs once every 100 years. This note right below here is only used if the specific job address does not have a FEMA flood map. Then we would add this note here that states pretty much that the property is not within a flood zone and is not subject to flood zone regulations, as well as the fact that it does not have firm maps published for that location. So I'm going to go through basically 3 different scenarios that would require the title page to be set up differently. And those 3 different scenarios is when the building that the job is at is in a flood zone. The second case is if the job is not in a flood zone, and where both of those conditions they do have a flood map. And in the case that the job address is not in a flood zone and does not have a flood map. Okay, so going with the first example where the location is in a special flood hazard zone and it does have a flood map. So in order to get the flood map, what we need to do is go to a website which is msc.fema.gov, and here in the search bar we're just going to put in the address, and for this example I randomly selected the address 545 West 20th Street, New York, New York. And as you can tell, it's in the special flood hazard zone indicated here in blue, and the building is indicated in red here. So now to download the map, you click this here and hit open. Once you download the map, you basically, it's this PNG file here. So you just right click that and convert it to PDF, which is what I like to work in. So I'm just going to let that convert. Now once that's converted and you have the map open, what we're going to do now is take a snapshot of this section right here, which basically has the information on what panel map it is, as well as the map number here, as well as the date. So in Windows there's a snipping tool that I'm going to use to crop the image, and I'm just going to make a window here to select that image. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my AutoCAD and I'm just going to paste it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just scale this down. Like so. And I'm going to use this template to start the new title sheet. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete the maps here, as well as a plot plan, since it's going to be new maps. And I'm going to move this over here and just rescale that a little bit. Okay, now next is I need to get the next is we need to get the location of the building for this address. So where we're going to go is we're going to go to a website that you can find by typing in New York City New York City maps, and just click here. Once you hit advanced search, you type in the address, which in this case is 545 West 20th Street in Manhattan. Okay. For some reason, if it freezes up on you like this, what I tend to do is, this is Firefox, and if I use a different browser such as Google Chrome, it actually works. So depending on the browser, it might work, it might not. I have better luck with Google Chrome when I use this website. So let's type in the address here, 545 West 20th Street in the city, and there it is. Okay, so as you can tell, the information I want is the cross street, so it's West 20th and 11th Avenue. So I go back to my maps here. Okay, West 20th and 11th. Okay, so it's actually somewhere in this area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to crop out the picture, making sure that I have two cross streets indicated, as well as the building and a little bit of the area around it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a box around this area here. And the reason why I created a box there is because I could see the two cross streets, right? Which is right here. I have the West 20th Street here, as well as 11th Avenue, as well as the building. So I'm going to go back to AutoCAD, and I'm going to place the map here and just rescale it. Like so, and I'm just gonna make it closer to that. And if you want to line it up, you can just click this and just line it up like so. Now I'm going to move this here. Okay, the next step to do is we need to indicate the building using the green hatch right there. So to locate the building again, I'm just going to refer back to the Google Maps and see that the building is right here on West 20th, 11th, and it's the corner building here. So I'm going to go back to my AutoCAD, find 20th Street, okay, and 11th Avenue here, and it's this building right here. So what I'm going to do is create a polyline, and I'm going to match, and I'm going to hatch in the area. And I'm just going to match the color. Now I could delete this and reposition this leader to there. Now if the arrow can't be seen, what I usually do is I hit this, what you can do is hit this, and if you go here, it's this icon here, bring to front. And now you can see the arrow is laid on top of the map. Okay, now that we completed the 2007 version of the map, we need to now do the 2013 version of the FEMA flood map. To do that, you go back to the same web page, the FEMA flood map service, and you basically use the same exact map number that's listed under the address. So this is the flood map number here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy everything and click this here, show all products. This was the 2007 version. So to get to the 2013 version, we click this here and we select preliminary products, click on preliminary firm maps, and here we're going to do a search. So I hit Control F and I put in the map number that I just copied in the previous page. I remove the F, and this is the 2013 version. It basically ends in a G but starts with the same number, and I'm just going to hit download. And that's how you obtain the map for the 2013. And you could just save the file in the folder, and you basically do the same thing as what we did for the 2007 version. So you would eventually take a snapshot of this area as well as the same zone. Okay, so what I did was I did the exact same thing I did for the 2007 version, and I did it for 2013, and this is now how it looks like. Whenever you do this, just make sure that the area that you crop out is very similar to the area that you cropped out for the 2007 version in order to have some sort of consistency. And here you'll see that it's the 2013 version, and it's exactly done the same way. You hatch out the area of work in green here and just label it as area of work. Now the next thing we need to do is complete the plot plan information here. I already filled out all the information needed for this project, for the block, zone, the bin, lot, map number, as well as this information down here. And to do that, we need to go to the website. Okay, now to get the plot plan, the website we go to is New York City Maps. So you could just type it in here, and in the search bar you could just click this right here. It's maps.nyc.gov, and we're gonna hit here advanced search and then type the address in. It's 545 West 20th Street in Manhattan. Okay, now here is where we have all the information that we'll need for the title sheet. Okay, so the block information is here and the lot information is there. So we'll use this information and we'll transfer it into the title sheet. Okay, so the block is 692 and the lot is 7501. Okay, the zoning is here, C6-3, and the map number is here, 8B. To get the bin number, we need to go to the DOB website. So I'm just going to go back to my Firefox and go to New York City DOB. And we're going to type the address in here, 545 West 20th Street in Manhattan. Okay, and the bin number is actually right up on top here, 00122. And you click this here, View Certificates of Occupancy. And there's different versions here which correspond to different dates. We're just going to pick one. And In this case, the effective date was back in 2017. So this is a pretty recent CFO. And if you look here, the information should be somewhere in here, and the information is right here. So the construction classification in this case is 2B. The occupancy group classification is a E. And the information on the height is right here, 67. Okay, now we need to add the plot plan here. So I'm going to go back to the website that we had opened before, which is this one. And I'm going to take a plot plan of this building area here, which is our scope of work. And when you do the plot plan, it's important to get the 2 cross streets, because this is another DOB plan examiner requirement. And if you don't have 2 plot plans, 2 cross streets shown, then the plan examiner may object to that. So we're going to just make sure that 2 cross streets are shown. In this case, I'm just going to pick 11th Avenue and 20th Street. And I'm just going to crop out that image. And just paste it right in here. And I'm just going to line it up with the maps. Actually, in this case, I'll line it up to the top. So in this case, it's already hatched out, so I'm not going to add the green hatch over it. Okay, now we're going to remove all the notes that don't relate to the fact that the building is in a special flood hazard zone. So this note here can be removed, which talks about the property is not within a designated special flood hazard zone. So this could be removed since it is in a flood hazard zone. And this note here, which states this property is not within a designated special flood hazard zone, can also be removed. And these two, this note as well as this table, are the only ones that would remain for this case. Since the building is in a special flood hazard zone, we actually need to do this calculation here. And to do that, I'm going to show you how that's done. Okay, now to get the information we need to fill out that table, we go to this website over here. And here, instead of using the property address search, which I feel whenever I use this, it doesn't really give me any search results. But when I use the BBL search, which stands for Borough Block and Lot Search, the information comes up for the property. So we're going to type in the block, which in this case is 692, and the lot is 7501. I'm going to do a search. Okay, and on the left hand side you're going to see market values and assessments, and we're going to click the latest one, which is here, and scroll down, and the information for the market value for the land and total would appear here. For some reason this building does not have any information, so I'm going to go down the different years, and again there's no information here and no information there. And let's go to prior years, and there's no data. You know, sometimes there is no data available for a building, so for this example I'm just gonna choose another property since there's no data available for this building. Okay, so I'm gonna pick another block and lot just so I could show you as an example how to do the calculation. And in this case, I'm going to use 7199 in the same borough of Manhattan. Okay, and you go down to the bottom, click the latest one. And this building does have information. So what we need to do is we need to take down the information for the estimated market value for the land and total. Okay, and in this case, you could just write this down. So the land is 512,000 and the total is 2925000. And right below that there's actually another value. It's just for the market. Alright, and we're gonna take down both numbers down for the land and total for this field also, market AV. Okay, now we're going to go back to AutoCAD. Okay, so using that data, you basically fill out this table. I already went ahead and I filled out the information based on the information from the website. The estimated market value is different from this actual number. To get the numbers for the actual total and land, I used the values here. Okay, this was the actual market value for the land and total that was used in this column here. So if you take the total, which is the land plus the structure, and then you subtract the land value from that total, that leaves you with the value of the structure. And then you basically divide that by the total to get the percent of the total, which is the value of the structure. And if you multiply the market value estimated total by this ratio here, you will get the market value of the structure, which is right here, this number here. So in this case, the value of the job, which is 23,000, is less than 50% of the value of the structure. So this wouldn't be considered a substantial improvement, and we would not have to comply with the code regulations for the case that it is. Okay, now we're going to have to change the notes here. And I'm just going to run through the notes with you guys. So no changes are being made to the flood elevations. The work proposed in the application is not a substantial improvement as defined by section here. And it's not substantial because the cost of construction is less than 50% of the value of the structure. The scope of work would have to be modified based on the specific project this title sheet is going on. And the premise is currently located in a special flood hazard area zone with a base flood elevation of 10 feet. We're going to have to modify this later based on the actual flood map. Now this elevation is measured from the NAFD 1980 datum. The applicant has been advised by the DOB acknowledges that the premise is now located in a zone with a base flood elevation of 10 feet per FEMA preliminary flood maps released in 2013. So we're going to have to use the most current year, the 2013 version of the flood map. So when I go up here to the flood map and I see the zone of the building, this is the elevation, the EL10, so this would be 10 feet, but it's pointing in another zone. So this building is actually within a zone here, and the elevation is cut off in this snapshot. So we should have actually included that elevation for the zone this building is in. Since the elevation was cut off in that view that we took a snapshot of, I went back to the original flood map for the year 2013, and I see here the elevation is 11 for where our building is located in, which is right here on 20th Street and 11th Avenue, so right here. So I'm gonna basically fill in the information using this elevation. So I'm going to basically update the 10 feet to be 11, and also here. And that is how you update this note. Now that we talked about how to set up the title sheet for the condition where the flood map is available and the building is within a flood zone, now we're going to talk about a situation where the map is available but the building is not in a flood zone. And essentially it's the same exact way. You basically get the maps the same exact way by going into the FEMA website to do the same thing, and you would do it for 2007 year as well as the 2013. But the only difference would be that the building would be out of this blue zone, which is the special flood hazard zone. So that's pretty much the only difference. Everything else is done exactly the same way, including this plot plan. The information would be inputted exactly the same way, going to the same sites as what we did in the example we just went through. These notes again would all remain the same. This table and this note would be removed, since these only relate to a building that's actually in a flood zone. So we would just remove this out, and we would put this note into the title sheet. And you could place this wherever there's space. In this case, I'm just going to place it right here. And that's how you set up a title sheet in the case that the map is available and the building is not in a special flood hazard zone. Okay, now for the final example where the building is not in a flood zone and also it doesn't have a flood map. And in this case, the way you find out the building does not have a flood map is by going back to the FEMA website, which is that. And for this example, I'm going to be using the address 504 Madison Street in Brooklyn. And as you can see here, if you get a note such as this where it says the flood map for this location has the status of not printed, it means that this location does not have a flood map. And just for comparison, for a location that does have a flood map, the note here would look a little different, and also you would have that icon here where you would click it to download the map. And I'm going to go back to this map to show you as an example of a location that does have the flood map. So again, the note would look different, alright, and also it would have this icon here where you could click it to download the map. So that's pretty much the only difference. And going back to the AutoCAD, the way the title sheet would look different in this case would be that this whole area would be deleted. So you would not have any of this. All the FEMA maps would be gone, and all you would be left with is this note here, which states this property is not within a designated special flood hazard zone and not subject to flood zone regulations. FEMA has not published firm maps for the premise in 2007 or 2013. The flood map codes are this and that for 2007-2013 respectively. And the map numbers, you would get it directly from that website. And going back to show you, it would be right here. So this location, which doesn't have the map, you would get the map number right there. Okay. And for the 2013, the last letter instead of F would be a G, and the numbers would be identical. and this note here would be removed. What I would do is just kind of move this around slightly, just so that it doesn't look so empty here. So I would move this down like so, and then this plot plan, I would just enlarge it. To fill a larger area of that title sheet. So this is generally how the title sheet would look like, alright, in that third case where the building is not in a flood zone and does not have a FEMA map. That concludes this video. Thanks for watching to the end. Appreciate it. Thanks.